Raila refunds ODM hopefuls fees after hitch. They are talking about 2.25 million shillings that are nomination fees that has been refunded to 9 aspirants. The names are yesterday 2 senior party officials confirmed that Raila returned the funds on Wednesday to Dagoretti High School principal Peter Orero, who emerged second, Ben Musungu, John Otieno, Chris Odhiambo, Antonio Gola, and so many others. And the reasons are that it became apparent that there was a deliberate interference with register that was laid bare in the presence of Raila Odinga and other party honchos. I'm just wondering, if such a thing happens and a nomination exercise has already been conducted and picked a candidate, then what does that mean on the credibility or integrity of the process that picked the candidate Imran Okoth?
First of all, I'm a member of ODM. And I'm a member of NEC, National Executive Committee of ODM. And I'd like to say, as Rosa, I thought that when we had so many candidates coming up to vie for the nomination to be the flag bearer of Kibra, I'd actually thought that it might have been better not to even charge any fee. But obviously the reason why parties charge candidates fees is so that they show commitment. But I thought 250,000 was a bit high, given that out of the 10 aspirants, only one person was going to win. And there's always that bad feeling when you feel that you've paid 250,000 and things were not done right, you know? Right. But in terms of registration of members, there's always been a problem, and ODM has gone through so many drives to ensure that it has a register of members that is also lodged at the political party's office. Many times we've abandoned it at some point because the requirement has always been stepped down when it's time to do nominations. So what I think is, you might have a register. In that register, or what I think is, many people sometimes think they're members of a party just because they support that party. But they don't know that to be a member of a party, you must go an extra step from just being a supporter. You must actually be a registered supporter for you to become a member through the card or through whatever means that the party has set out. So many people think, supporters say, I'm a member of ODM, where's my name? I'm a member of ODM, where's my name? But there are cases where people have actually subscribed to be members and they did find their names out of the list. And that also happens with IEBC, right? You know, so there are those instances where for some reason a member has subscribed, a member has paid a fee, but a member does not find themselves in the registration list. That does not mean there's a clear attempt to block out people, because then how are you going to block out people? Right. How will you know that Rosa is a supporter or Rosa is going to vote for so-and-so, so let's eliminate Rosa? You know, it's not easy, especially in a place like a constituency like Kibra, where almost 90% are members of ODM.
But Honorable Rosa, when a process is flawed, in quotes, producing a candidate who is contesting against others in the Kibra race on November 7th, what does that say about the candidate? Don't you think there are questions to be raised in the process? I think by and large, if you see what Imran got, 4,000 and something, against the next best candidate who got 1,000, even if there were flaws, by and large, he was the candidate that the ODM members voted for. Honorable Gladwell, yes, there were flaws, as she's also admitted and as Honorable Raila Odinga has also noted. But does that mean that party primaries then should be repeated, given the fact that whichever candidate, in this case, Ken Okoth's brother, who took the seat home ahead of the November 7th elections, nevertheless, should they be then repeated? If here we are, the ODM party is saying, listen, we do acknowledge there were problems, there were votes with our registration list, then should it be repeated again?
First of all, I want to say the last time we were here, we were talking about Kenyan politics and how fair they are, both IEBC and the primaries of the parties. And it remains the same, that it has never been very fair. Issues primaries actually does not mean that when you get it, you are the best. I said last time, it depends also on the liking of the owner of the party and also the people who are involved. And the reasons behind why they think they should back. The people. The people.
So what is democracy then? If at the end of the day...
And I want to repeat, and I said, the line between democracy and dictatorship is so thin that it can cross to either sides anytime. So for me, we don't have to actually continue wasting time going back to... If the people have made their mind that it is Imran, There's nothing else you can do. We can go back, waste the time, waste the money.
But Sam, before you even ask that question, I think it's strength on ODM to actually come up and say, there seems to have been a problem here. Some people have maybe produced their cards or shown that they were registered voters and they did not vote. So there's strength in coming up to own up and say, oh, okay, we thought we had a democratic nomination exercise, but we've realized that it was not 100% democratic, and the least we can do is to pay back the fee.
But Honorable Rosa, you and I were in this country on September 2nd of 2017, where a presidential election was cancelled, actually nullified, and a repeat ordered. And they said that it's not just about the final result, but the process. The process is key. So how then should we resolve these issues of bungled nomination, or the flaws that we find, bearing in mind that we have ABBA has already been set by the Supreme Court?
And unfair primaries.
And that's ODM, as you know, has always been on the forefront of fighting for a fair and credible process. So what you ask I think is valid. But what you also don't know, that's not in the public eye, is all these aspirants actually sat down with the party machinery, and as much as the party took the responsibility to say, okay, things might not have gone right, and the party apologized, each of those aspirants actually said, what has happened. If the party is willing to give us back our 250,000, we are still members of the party, and for this time, we will go with it. Okay. So it's not like ODM is imposing it on them and saying, things didn't go right, but take your money. All these people have actually been in consultation and have accepted the party's apology and have accepted the party's gesture to pay back or to refund back the 250,000 to each one of them, and they have accepted to move on. But if they did not accept, then, like you rightfully say, the party might have had to go back and do another nomination exercise. But guess what? It would have been too late, so the party might not have presented a candidate. So these are issues that all these aspirants took into consideration, and they've said, we'll move on with the party as party members.
Gladwell, just as we exit from this topic, what is your opinion about the clearance of MacDonald Mariga now back in the race, bearing in mind that there was that question about his registration, but now IBC says that as soon as he's registered and his details entered into the KIMS kit, then he becomes a voter?
I think for his clearance, it is his right, constitutional right, and he's entitled to it. If he has been cleared, well and good. For we know IBC registration is a continuous process. So there was no actually legal aspect or backing to not to allow him to be cleared. Now that he's been cleared, his work is just to go to the field and battle with the rest. I
asked that question because on pages of the Daily Nation, you'll see that there was so much pressure coming from the Jubilee Party. Actually, pressure from allies of Deputy President William Ruto and top IABC officials led to the clearance of football star MacDonald Mariga to vie for the Kibra parliamentary seat. That is according to the Nation. So I'm just wondering, are you able to read between political pressure and the legal position, and can you trust IBC to make a fair decision?
Let me put it like this, so that you can go to her. Of course, as a party who wanted to field a candidate, that is Jubilee, they had to do all means to make sure that they are fielding one, and their choice was Mariga. And so the pressure, whichever way it can be put, it came from the party because of their interests. You know, politics is about interest. So the interest they had is to field a candidate at Kibra. For IBC, they have no option because legally they are entitled to give him. He has a constitutional right, and it has been fulfilled.
IBC has got itself into a lot of problems, and actually got the country into some problems. Why? Because the only way that you can determine whether somebody is a registered voter or not is if their name appears in the register. And many times in the past elections, a lot of people have been turned away. They say they are registered. In the last election, they even had those notification slips. But if your name was not in the register, you were not allowed to vote. What IBC has done now is to actually show that a notification slip is superior to being in the register of to being in the voters register. So what IBC has actually done, remember those notification slips do not have any security around them. They are just printed notification slips.
Even though IBC Chair Wafula Chebukati said that they were able to confirm and the slip was not contested by anyone.
Just let me say this. So now for voters who are going to appear in Kibra, if you have a notification slip, you must be allowed to vote.
But your name will not be in the register.
This guy's name was not in the register, but because he has a notification slip, he's been allowed to vie.
Okay.
Just listen to me, just let me bring my point. So what IEBC has said, and what IEBC, the trend that it has set, is the notification slip is all of a sudden superior to the registration, voters' registration.
Okay.
Yet we know that the only way you can determine that a voter is registered is through the voters' registration. But now they've told us, if you have a notification slip, you are good to go. It is IEBC's problem because IEBC did not have enough money to put you in the register in time. Now you are good to go. So people are going to appear with those notification slips, and they must be allowed to vote.
And a Kibra resident.
Another thing is, the spirit of the law was that if a vacancy or if an election date has been set and registration has been closed for a particular constituency, because a specific constituency, because of the coming or the impending election, that the spirit was to give IEBC time to prepare, okay, by closing that register. And the spirit also was to avoid people who just want to come to register just for that particular vote. Just hold it, I'm bringing my point, please.
Yes.
But what they've done now is for IEBC, I mean for people of Kibra, the date of registration was closed. And yet they're the people who are concerned with this particular election, okay? But IEBC then allows somebody, anybody, it could have been Rosa, but in this case it's Mariga, to go to another constituency. Remember, Mariga has never bothered to register as a voter in this country, and therefore has never voted. And the only reason why he wants to be a registered voter at this particular time is so that he can go and contest in Kibra. So when he goes to Kibra and he's not allowed to register there because now they've closed registration for Kibra, he goes to another constituency, which is Tarehe, registers there for the sole reason that he should be allowed to vie in Kibra. Really, is that the spirit of that law?
So you find that...
now you're punishing anybody in Kibra who might want to go and register as a voter to vote for the person he wants to vote for, but you're allowing a stranger to register and go and vie in Kibra. There is a problem, and that law has to be amended.